Citizen Nahas Angula, can you just tell us how the information about the late President Geingob reached you and what was your reaction to that?
Well, I was looking at my social media platforms early yesterday morning. Then I saw breaking news, something like that. Then I decided to read that, and only to find that there was an announcement made by the acting president that the sitting president was no more. However, the previous day, the Saturday, Comrade Bomba called me just to reassure me that the president was back in town from his treatment in America, and the doctors are taking good care of him. So that gave me hope that perhaps he's recovering. However, late Saturday, a social media posting said that he was in critical but stable condition. You know, when you are in the ICU, the situations always change.
Yes.
Depending upon your heartbeat and other organs in your body. So that that didn't allow me. I said perhaps that's normal.
Yes.
I've been in ICU several times myself, and I know that it's a different situation when you are on those machines. So I saw that breaking news early in the morning yesterday. I tried to call Comrade Bumba, his phone was not in the air. Then I sent him a short message just to say, if this posting is true, it is a sad moment we are faced with. And I don't think that anybody expected the president to die so soon after just a diagnosis. When we were parliamentarians, I was the leader of government in the business during the President Pohamba's administration. And the Comrade Hage was the chief whip. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So I had to inform him that I'm going in for operation. And then he jokingly said, "Oh, don't worry, I was also diagnosed with it, but I got my treatment in America." So I went to the hospital in the Roman Catholic. I got my treatment, my operation. Fine. Now, when they announced that they discovered some cancerous cells in his body,
Yes.
I was surprised because those are the things the doctors are supposed to look at for in the first place.
Yes.
If you go to Path Care and they give you blood there, those things are likely to be detected. I was surprised that it was not detected early. Perhaps because he had this other treatment previously, but when you had an ailment, you should always inform the doctor that at one time I had this problem. Perhaps he did, perhaps he didn't. But his passing was so sudden. And many of us cannot understand exactly what happened. Perhaps there were some other complications, perhaps. Doctors will inform us, perhaps. There must have been some other complications.
Okay. But let's just go back in memory lane. You and the late president come a long way. I believe in the ruling party structures, as well in the central government and in cabinet, all that. Just tell us, when did you meet? the late president for the first time? And how was the encounter?
Well, the first time I met him, if he was here, he probably will not remember. In 1973, there was a non-aligned movement conference in Lusaka, Zambia. And Colonel Hage was there. They were accommodated in the university compound. That time I was a student at the University of Zambia. That's why I say if he was here, probably he will not remember that encounter.
Okay.
Because a student and there's a bit of a distance.
Yes.
Yeah, but the student will remember. Then we served together in Swapo structures, in the Central Committee, in the Political Bureau for some time. During the exile, I have not really worked closer to him, besides the fact that I was a Senate of the Institute for Namibia member.
Okay.
In my capacity as Swapo Secretary for Education and Culture. So I used to attend meetings there. I used to have seminars preparing for independence at the UNIN, the United Nations Institute for Namibia.
Yes.
But we were not really working closer together like the people who were actually working there in the institute itself. We worked together during the transition.
Okay.
We came back the same plane July 18, I think, if I can remember, 89,
Yes.
from Rwanda. He was the leader of our delegation. He was the director of elections.
Yes.
I was appointed then as voter education director. Those were the first genuine elections.
Yes.
They had to go in the villages, teaching people how to vote and what their vote means and all that kind of thing. Mobilizing basically people under his leadership. But we were together appointed to be part of the Constitution Drafting Committee of the Constituent Assembly.
Yes.
And he was our chairman during that difficult time of drafting the Constitution. And it was a very difficult task because parties were so suspicious against each other.
Yes.
There was no rapport. Sometimes you argue over a very small thing.
Yes.
And overlook very important things. For example, the power of the president.
Yes.
Was a very hot topic in the drafting committee there. The others wanted the president just to be a figurehead of some kind.
Yes.
We wanted an executive president. In the process, we ignore one important thing during the drafting of the Constitution. That is Article 16 of the Constitution, about property.
Yes.
Well, we took it just on face value that, people have to have their properties.
Yes.
But we didn't think deeper to say that some people had the head start.
Yes.
They had the farms, they had whatever, we had nothing. And now, of course, that is haunting us, those of us who were part of the drafting committee, so to say, the fathers and mothers of the Constitution. We could have not allowed Article 16 to be part of the fundamental rights.
Yes.
Because property is something acquired.
Yes.
Sometimes very unfairly. Like those who acquired property during apartheid.
Yes.
It was not a fair game. But that is what under the table.
Yeah.
But we have to live with it.
Yes.
Eventually, of course, as you know, as we were drafting the Constitution, we started around December. And the elements and the remnants of the South African Army was still present. So we are under tremendous pressure because you don't know what is happening in the minds of other people. So we had to negotiate that constitution under that kind of pressure.
Yes.
And eventually, in February, we were able to complete it and usher in the independence of the country on the 31st of March 1990. Then late Comrade Hage was appointed as our prime minister, so we all worked under him as ministers. He established the Namibian Public Service, and it was not an easy task because the country was balkanized along tribal, ethnic, and racial lines, and to bring people together was also a challenge. I was given the portfolio of education, culture, and sport. That was problematic portfolio. I can tell you that there was a lot of resistance to unite the education systems, which were 11 of them we found here, or 12, if you put in the white administration. So we have to support each other in terms of building the institutions of national governance. And of course, we have to do that under the guidance of the Prime Minister all the time. And they did a sterling job to establish the public service, unite the various administrations which we found here. The problem, the challenge was really that the Constitution guaranteed employment for those people who were already in the system.
Yes.
But we had our own people who had to join the system. It was not easy. It took some time. When at independence, we didn't have a budget.
Okay.
No, we didn't have a budget because there was no parliament to approve a budget.
Yes.
So we had to operate on the budget, which was left there by the colonial administration.
Okay.
As fragmented as it was.
Yes.
Our own people were becoming impatient because they wanted to be employed. And we experienced demonstrations. Teachers trained in exile, they were demonstrating in Ngwediva there. Nahas Angula is a sellout. I'm saying, hey, wait, we don't have a budget. Yeah, but why do you keep those people who are in the system close to you?
Okay.
I say, I have no power to chase them out because that was the compromise. So we all of us, face those kind of challenges.
Yes.
As to how to bring equality
Yes.
in the system. And him as a prime minister, he had to right size the public service. Again, that was not an easy task. To ask people those who want to retire, or whatever, the ones who have been in the system for a long time. But through his tenacity, guidance, and of course ingenuity, eventually the institutions of the Namibian state were put into place. And gradually tensions start to subside, and people start to work as teams. Those who we found in the administration.
Yes.
Some of them decided to resign, to go to things like selling insurance policies and what.
Okay.
The white elements and other kind of thing.
Okay.
So he made his contribution in that regard, especially with regard to the Constitution, which is our supreme law. He made a great contribution to negotiate with other. I'm not saying that the Constitution is perfect,
Yes.
but so far it is served as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about the issue of leadership now. To ascend to the position of the president of a country, there should be some leadership qualities that you have shown over the years that motivate or persuade your fellow comrades at the party level, as well as the public at large. Why should we make this person the leader of our country? Our late president.
Well, politics in Africa are more
mm,
complicated than you can think of.
yes,
There are just too many things to balance.
yes,
Experience
yes,
is one. Leadership is another. And then you have the national character of the government. As you put together all these racial, ethnic, cultural groups, you have to think about all those things. To say, perhaps this comrade has served for so long a time in the party, he's a senior member of the party, and he deserves
yes,
to be honored as the head of state and all that. But it is not just leadership as such, which is important, but many other things.
okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell us an encounter with the late president that really stood out for you, or let me see one or two encounters that really stood out for you that you'll say, I will never forget this moment.
Well, it's the chairmanship of the drafting committee of that committee which drafted the Constitution.
Yes.
You know, there were too many interests there. Sometimes when we are bogged down some kind of a stalemate, he will use his discretion and say, let us adjourn a bit.
Okay.
And so that you can go and caucus somewhere else.
Okay.
And say, what kind of compromise can we find? No, on this one we are not going to compromise. On this one, perhaps yes. And that, you know, this kind of thing. It needs a lot of balancing, maneuvering here, coaxing and give and take kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and it takes patience to do so. So, to me, that is the most difficult thing I can remember.
Okay.
Yeah, the drafting of the Constitution.
Okay. No. Okay. Based on these characteristics, what are some of those characteristics that stood out for you?
Well,
Yes.
he's an individual,
Yes.
like all of us are individuals.
Yes.
He has his likes and dislikes,
Yes.
and sometimes you get the impression that he will extract concession from other people by using his ethnic background,
Okay.
something like that. You remember during his campaign, he was singing this song, Otwaningashik, Otwaningashik, Otwaningashik,
Yes.
kind of. Well, that is his character
Okay.
and all that. Yeah.
Many have come to learn, especially the younger generation. Well, the person was a unifier who always talk about one Namibia, one nation. Bringing out that element when he became the president. Obviously, when you also saw the election outcome in 2014, if I'm not mistaken, he was the president who got the highest votes by the public since our democratic elections. What does, can you just bring
Be
unity?
careful about political slogans.
Yes.
Political slogans do not define the character of a person. It's just meant to send a message out there.
Yes.
It does not necessarily mean that a person is like that. I'm quite sure if you call Professor Disho
Yes.
and ask him whether the late president was a unifier,
Yes.
he will give you a different story.
Yes.
Yeah, many other people will give you a different story.
Okay.
So slogans, fine.
Yes.
You look at what action actually a person is is taking. What are the behaviors? How does it treat other people? Is it fair? Is it just? And all that kind of thing. To me, those are the characters which are important.
Okay.
Yeah, to treat other people in a fair, just manner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to the issue of before the president passed on. He made some statements prior to that, to the fateful incident, where he said that he's leaving Namibia in a better state. How do you react to that?
Again, if you go to 30-year-old unemployed youth, are you employed? Unemployed youth who has lost hope, is not even looking for a job. Is that person in a better situation? If your unemployment, youth unemployment is close to 50% of the under 30 years old, is that a better place to live a person in? I live here in my village here.
Yes.
And I get the pressure from the old people, get their old, like myself, social patient. They will still come here to try to convince you either to pay for a school fee for their child, or to, so eventually, as we do here in my community, if you don't have food in your house, you come with a basket with a bit of sand inside there.
Okay.
Then you give to owner of the house. Once the owner of the house opens the basket and say, "Oh, there is sand here," it means a person does not have food in the house. You have to go to your mahangu basket and take a bushel and give it to that person. So what I'm trying to say is that there is this serious problem of inequality in our communities. Despite the fact that we have these social grants, some people are still on the margin as far as the economy is concerned, especially old people. Even they get their pension because of their grandchildren sitting around in their homes. They have to feed them. So poverty is still with us. And it is not a nice thing. It's an embarrassment. As far as I'm concerned. That way I don't have an answer.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe before we end the interview, just maybe give us maybe a message to the family of the late and the nation. What would the message be regarding the passing of the president?
For now, Namibia is a one family, mourning a very important family member. We all should hold hands until we find the final resting place for our former president. We must support the interim president and his team to make sure that they consolidate the gains which we have achieved so far, and also address the challenges which are there. You see, if you come a bit area, you'll find me in my Mahangu field there.
Yes.
Why do I work in the Mahangu field at my over 80 years old? Because I want also the people in the villages to see that to have been a minister or a prime minister does not mean that you abandon your traditions and you don't sweat for your upkeep.
Yes.
So hard work is the key. Where you can find a job, if you can find a job. So my condolences to the Namibian family, and of course to to the close family of the late president. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Good.